This is just what everybody needs. Another person talking about the playoffs or something about it, and for it to stay in the news airwaves because, well, we have nothing else to talk about right now. And I'm going to be honest, it is definitely something that's beat down, but when Kyle Larson talks about possible changes and stuff going on, I think it does catch the eyes and the ears a little bit more. But I do feel kind of like I should be like David Land, and the way he would have a Kyle Larson video, I just go, it's a playoff video. But let's look at what happened here. Kyle Larson was on the Racer channel on YouTube and was on the live stream talking about just about anything in his racing career that's going on right now. And he did mention something that was more or less an offhand comment, but it's interesting that he was so kind of open with it, or just let it fly like that. And here's what he said.
Yeah, win some more races, lead more laps, and who knows what the new format will be. So maybe it'll benefit us somehow.
So hearing that, I think the big question is, what changes could there be? Personally, like we've heard so far, I think it's probably going to be something small if any changes made. A lot of people have talked about the fact that NASCAR would make a tweak going maybe into this year, and then the big change heading into 2026. But it does seem kind of odd. Why would you make a tweak and then a big change? Why not just make it all at once? So there's a couple things that I kind of jotted down, ideas that people have thrown out there that maybe it could be. This is just reckless speculation. One is small changes maybe to the win and you're in. Maybe putting the top 30 rule back in. Maybe putting a top 25 rule in or something. But having some kind of limit to that. After all, this past year we saw some brain-dead driving at the end of the Richmond race from Austin Dillon that cost both Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano a victory. Two drivers who performed much better in the season's entirety than Austin Dillon did. And we saw the controversy of Harrison Burton getting a win when he was the 35th best guy out there and could leapfrog over 20 or so deserving drivers who would have been a better fit in the NASCAR postseason. Another one is maybe the way that points are awarded. After all, there is a way, actually a pretty easy way, that drivers can score more points than the winner, kind of devaluing the winner in a race outside of qualifying for the playoffs, which is big unless you're not that good of a driver. Then you're just sort of there. At least to the fans, it's not that big of a deal. And that's who it matters to, and that's why we're having this conversation. And with that, maybe awarding 50 or 60 points to the winner. That way you would have to have a perfect race in any way to get close to winner's points. You can value that, but then you'll have to overvalue it by rewarding the guy who's 35th with the playoff spot because he won a super speedway race. So maybe that's something that could happen. And then the other one is the inversion of the playoffs. A lot of people are talking about. I know my buddy Eric Estepp has talked about this. I know others have talked about it, of maybe doing a 1-3-3-3 playoffs where the final round is actually a round and you're not having to just sort of beat around the bush when it comes to a valued champion because of just one little bit of small sample size that just does not in any way indicative of the season itself. So that could maybe be something that they do. Again, that's still pushing it for me. But what if they take a big swing? After all, Kyle Larson is talking about this, and for me, the big swing is hybrid of the playoffs and the chase. You have a 10-race chase, the way that you used to have from 2004 to 2013, but you award points the same way going into the playoffs and through races that you do now. In my opinion, NASCAR does not necessarily have as many problems as people think. I think the product is actually pretty good at most tracks and has improved mightily. So there is a lot of good, and NASCAR just needs to get the bad taste out of people's mouths of a championship format that a lot of people just don't really take all that seriously. And this is something that maybe they could do that with. But why is this big? Why is it big that Kyle Larson is just so flippantly talking about changing what is supposedly the biggest prize in American racing when it comes to a championship? Well, a few reasons. For one, Kyle Larson talking about change like this signifies to me change is coming. there's going to be something different heading into 2025. There's a new TV deal. NASCAR is going to be on a lot less broadcast races, and what I mean is Fox and NBC, and more cable, and now streaming. They're going to be further from the general public eye than ever before in the modern era of television broadcasting that they've been in since 2001. And with that, they need to keep their core base happy. Now, I don't think they're going to go back to a full season format as much as I would want that, but I do think that with this, you're going to have some kind of change that's going to quell the anger of the diehard. And another big part of this that is big for me with Kyle Larson talking about this is that it signifies NASCAR leadership maybe not listening per se, but being more open-minded to the championship format changing because of different problems than they probably have been in almost a decade. The last time I can think of this much rumbling about a playoff or championship change in any way was in 2016. After we had a caution at the end of the Homestead race that led to Carl Edwards pretty much wrecking himself and then walking away. It was a black eye on the sport just because it was just a really dumb sequence of events, and some things needed to be changed. Plus, you also had, rain-ins at the end of different rounds getting in and different things like that. So you needed to protect those who were good during the season. And we saw the changes with that with stage racing and playoff points, which I do think, while maybe not my favorite thing ever, is an improvement over what we had with the elimination chase. So I do like that NASCAR, at least in this new era, is showing that they're willing to change in some way. This is the first big test, I would say, when it comes procedurally to rules in the championship format, that this new era of leadership, Jim France and the Steves, have encountered without Brian France being there. So there is that at least to look at, and if they handle this right or make the fans happy in some way, well, then you can strengthen the leadership and at least what people think of the leadership. So this is a big moment. Now with this, I do want to ask you what you think. Should NASCAR even change the playoffs, or is it good as is and fans just need to zip it? Or are there changes that they can make that would make fans happier, make you happy, make just people in general, maybe even drivers happy? Let me know down in the comments below. And let me know what you think of what Kyle Larson said as well. I know it's kind of vague, but it is something worth talking about, I think, when it's something so big in our sport. So with that, thank you. I appreciate it. Be sure to leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.